When Olodumare heard this, he was like, ho ho, you thought? Well, guess what? No more rain for you. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leanna if you're new, and welcome to episode 23 of Makeup and Mythology, a series on my channel where I do my makeup and also tell you an ancient myth. So, last week we covered the story of the long-haired girl from Chinese folklore, and how she was very brave and didn't hesitate to sacrifice herself to save everybody else. Shout out to Kylie for this week's video idea. This week we are going to be covering Oshun, a West African goddess. Oshun originates from the Yoruba, an ethnic group that constitutes about 30 million people in Africa, who are primarily located in Nigeria, Benin, and Togo. Due to transatlantic slave trade, the Yoruba culture, and therefore the worship of Oshun, was spread outside of West Africa to places like Brazil and Cuba. In Yoruba religion, Oshun is venerated as the goddess of rivers, fertility, beauty, and love. She's often depicted wearing a gold dress with lots of gold jewelry, and she's very sexy, very beautiful. She oozes femininity, and she knows it too. So I say Oshun is a goddess, but more specifically, she is one of many spirits/deities called the orisha, who are often thought of to be the intermediates between people and gods. It is said that in the beginning, the supreme creator god Olodumare sent the orisha to earth to create humanity, which is one of the stories we're going to cover today. Most orisha are thought of to have existed in the spirit world first, and then become incarnated as humans, while others are humans who become deities after death due to some extraordinary thing that they did while they were human. Now, Oshun is one of the most popular, more well-known orisha. In the Yoruba religion, human life is impossible without her. She is considered the protector, savior, and nurturer of humanity. Her name means source, and with her being a deity of rivers and fertility and all, she is thought of as the source of life, since crops need water to grow and babies come from women. So the Yoruba believe that in the beginning, there were 17 original orisha sent by Olodumare, and their job was to create life, to populate the earth. And out of these 17, Oshun was the only female deity. It was a huge boys' club. All the male deities were like, creating life? We got it. We don't need some girl to do that. Oh boys, do I have some news for you. Some versions of this story say that because the male deities weren't respecting her, she got fed up with their crap and left them to go to the moon, where she just lounged around and admired herself in the mirror. We stan. She knew her worth, and she wasn't about to waste any energy convincing some guys that she was valuable, especially since they weren't going to believe her. So she dipped. And the male gods kept trying and trying to make life, but to no avail. The earth was barren. There was no life. So the 16 of them decided to ask Olodumare for guidance. And when they got there, Olodumare was like, "How many of you did I send?" And they were like, 17, sir. And the Lord of Heaven was like, "How many of you are here before me?" And they were like, 16, sir. And he was like, you need her. After this, they all went to the moon and apologized, and begged her to come back and help them. She agreed, but she was like, "You'd better not dismiss me ever again, or else." And with her help, they were able to create a beautiful, fertile world full of people, animals, and plants. So that's the creation myth involving her. It is believed that humanity would not exist if Oshun didn't step up to the plate. Along with being known for creating humanity, Oshun is also known as the messenger of Olodumare because she was the only orisha who was able to approach the supreme god of gods directly. And this is how that story goes. In the early days of life, the orishas became tired of serving Olodumare because he was just so far away up in the sky, so they were like, why should we obey him anyway? What does the literal god of gods know about running the world? So they began to resist his commands and plan an uprising to overthrow him and split his powers among themselves. When Olodumare heard this, he was like, ho ho, you thought? Well, guess what? No more rain for you. And with a wave of his hand, there was no more rain on earth. The world was soon after encompassed by a drought, and the orishas and the people that they created began to starve. So the orishas were like, oh fuck, we fucked up. We should go beg him for forgiveness. But there was just one problem. He could reach them, but they could never get him. Olodumare, after having taken away the rain, was just chillin'. He was like, Olodumare can't come to the phone right now. So the orishas kept trying to send birds, one by one, to attempt the journey into the sky, but each and every one of them failed because they got tired long before even getting close to the heavenly palace. When it started to look like all hope was lost, a peacock came and offered to try to make this journey. This peacock was actually Oshun, and of course all the men were like, ha ha ha, what can a pretty little bird do? You can't do this, you're gonna break a nail. You know, I really hate that being pretty is considered to be mutually exclusive with being capable and strong. Like, please, can we retire that already? The thing is, we're about to see Oshun being capable and strong and pretty. This story from years and years and years and years and years ago is retiring that notion. But how come that notion is still rampant in today's modern society? So the men, having nothing to lose, were like, okay, little peacock, you can go try to make this flight. We don't think you're gonna last 10 seconds, but you can try. We don't got anything to lose, so you can try. With the fate of the world at stake, Oshun took flight toward the sun into the sky, and as she got closer and closer to the sun, her feathers started to burn, and they became scraggly and black. But she kept going, and at last she arrived at the gates of Olodumare's palace. When she had finally gotten there, she had lost most of her feathers, and the ones that were left were all black. She had burned her beautiful peacock feathers, and was no longer a peacock, but a vulture instead. She had sacrificed her beauty to get to Olodumare's palace. Olodumare took pity on Oshun and brought her to the palace to treat her wounds, and he asked her why she did this. She explained that the earth was undergoing a terrible drought, and that she had come to beg him to allow rain to fall again for the sake of humanity. Olodumare was moved by her sacrifice and her ability to love, so he decided to forgive and end the drought. The vulture returned to earth, bringing with her the rain, and everyone rejoiced. It is said that the first interaction between Oshun and people took place in Oshogbo, a city in Nigeria. Oshun is said to have given the people permission to build the city and use her river, the Oshun River, and promised to provide for and protect them if they worshipped her and gave her offerings, prayers, and honored her in rituals. In Oshogbo, they hold the annual Oshun festival to honor her, and they still do it to this day. Typically, when people pray to her, they ask her for health, wealth, and fertility. So Oshun is definitely a healer and giver of life, but she can also be a taker of life. She expects to be venerated, and when she feels like she isn't properly worshipped or appreciated, she may cause floods or destroy crops by withholding water. But because she doesn't hold grudges, once she is appeased, she'll stop the floods and droughts and bring everything back to normal. So that's pretty much all for today's episode. I really like learning about cultures and myths that aren't really talked about in Western curriculum. I always feel like there's something completely new for me to learn about, and I'm never gonna get sick of doing this series. And I love learning about powerful, sensual, venerated female deities, just because it's refreshing, honestly. Women are rad. So, on that finishing note, I hope you liked today's episode, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!